All right, man. Ohio State put their entire foot in our butt today in Ann Arbor, 56-27, I think it was. Appreciate everybody for checking in. Let's talk a little bit about the game. I won't go through the stats because they really didn't matter. But J.K. Dobbs, I think, earned a place at the table, at least to go to the Heisman ceremony. I think it's December 15th or 14th in New York City. But hey, Mercy Sports Talk, we back in the building. Got to talk about the good, the bad, and mostly a lot of the ugly. All right, if you want to hear more sports outside the state of Michigan from your boy, outside of Detroit and Detroit news, check out my other channel, Goodfellas Sports TV. Appreciate the love, support. All right, I watched this entire game, and Michigan kept it close early. I believe Michigan came out, struck first, and the place kicker missed the field goal, all right, missed the extra points. And with him missing the extra point, it really didn't affect the game at all. Michigan ended up going for 2 down the line. But then, Justin Fields was just too good today. You know what I'm saying? Down Brown defense, they prepared, all year for the crosser routes, the drag routes. And the thing they really tried to stop was Justin Fields from breaking the pocket. And with doing that enabled or allowed J.K. Dobbs out of LaGrange, Texas, to do his thing in between the tackles. See, Justin Fields' ability to run was something that the Michigan had to take into account. Now, had that been Dwayne Haskins, you don't have to worry about him being mobile. So, when Ohio State got a mobile quarterback that can keep you on the edge, that makes you, kind of play defense different. And people say, well, why they couldn't stop J.K. Dobbs? Because of the ability of Fields to break the pocket. Now, Fields didn't do a ton of rushing this year, or to this game. But, a lot of times it was blown coverage. Don Brown, they tried to mix in zone. And then you had the situation where one of their receivers, I think Metellus, was supposed to have deep responsibility. He bit on the tight end. They was in some type of zone, and then the receiver went down the line for down the sideline for a touchdown. And those type of things, you can't have. You know what I'm saying? You always have to keep deep responsibility. And a lot of times I've seen that happen a few times just in sports today. Remember, people was blaming Marcus Peters for the deep catch when he was with the Rams by DK Metcalf, and DK Metcalf scored a touchdown, but it wasn't on him. They was in like a single high safety. Well, it was like a cover 3, and the safety bit on like the tight end again, and Peters didn't have deep responsibility on the other side. DK Metcalf scored. So playing zone coverage is about being disciplined. It's about reading the quarterback, and that's pretty much it. And today, Justin Fields got an easy one by Josh Metellus blowing coverage. And J.K. Dobbs, he ran all over him today, and he caught the ball for 49 yards, rushed for 211, and rushed for 4 touchdowns. So they had no answer. Other than that, you get, I think it's the second half still. Michigan, Don Brown defense get off the field. Special teams, I think the captain jumped off sides. Him and Glasgow both was in the neutral zone. And then Ohio State got another life. And I believe Ohio State, Justin Fields dropped back again. Throws another deep touchdown pass. And I believe they was in man coverage that time. You go to the second half, they come out, score again. Then what's so funny about it, they graduate quarterback comes in after Justin Fields get knocked out. He picks up a couple first downs. Justin Fields come back in the game and immediately throws like a touchdown. So at the end of the day, I don't know, we just talking about defense right now. But defensively, I don't know who to blame for the scheme or the personnel not having enough talent. But pretty much, I do think it's Don Brown. His defenses are just not comfortable. If they're able to rush 5 or 6 people, or they're able to rush 4 and they're able to cause confusion and disguise, their pressures up front, they're going to beat you like they did Notre Dame. They're going to beat you, like they did everybody else this season, not named Wisconsin and not named, Penn State and Ohio State. But if you got a physical run game, you can run down the middle, that takes away their ability to pin their ears back and rush the quarterback. That's what it boils down to. If you can run with physicality in the middle, J.K., Jonathan Taylor, you're going to be able to beat Michigan. You know what I'm saying? With a physical run game. Michigan is too light in the ass up front. They linebackers are too small, it look like, and their defensive tackles don't seem like they got enough girth. Michigan D is built to rush the passer. that defense would be pretty good up front in the Big 12 where you don't see a lot of running. But when you play in Ohio State, you got to have speed and you got to have girth in the middle to stop, guys like J.K. Dobbs. And then, you're going against Wisconsin. They always got physical and good running back. So you got to control the line of scrimmage with strength and with bulk. And you also got to have a nice balance of some speed guys in there. But that's how you beat Michigan defense. If you able to defend, your receivers able to beat man coverage, your front can pick up the blitzes, and you got a physical run game, you beat Don Brown 10 times out of 10. But looking at the offense, but congratulations to Ohio State. They called a good game. Ryan Day outcoached Don Brown and outcoached Jim Harbaugh today. Offensively, they called a great game, and they took their shots. When you play a lot of man coverage, a lot of single coverage, man on man, you're going to have opportunities. And Don Brown just ain't the guy as the defensive coordinator. But looking at Michigan offense, Shea Patterson, he played a good game today for the most part. And I'll talk about the fumble in a minute. But he was putting it on the money, to be honest. He stepped up the last few weeks, and he seemed like he got more and more comfortable with Josh Gaddis' offense, and he was putting the ball right on their chest. He was putting the ball right on their chest. And a lot of times, Donovan Peoples-Jones had to drop in the end zone. He had to drop later in the game. Tyree Black only had one catch that I can remember, and they were just dropping the ball. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, it's hitting on the hand. They probably might not have been a perfect ball, but Shea Patterson threw the ball pretty good today. Charbonnet, I don't know. I guess they chose to go with Hassan today, but Patterson threw some pretty good balls. But once again, down in the red zone, when the game was, I think, in the touchdowns reach, Shea Patterson fumbled the ball and lost the fumble. I think it was third down. They didn't get 3, didn't get 7. And that was another momentum turner. Had they went down there and scored a touchdown, Ohio State wouldn't have had the cushion to play away, to pull away. And the thing about Ohio State, they ain't really been in no close football games. So you don't know how Justin Fields is going to react to adversity. Had Patterson and them, instead of the fumble, been able to squeeze the ball in there, I'm telling you, Ohio State wouldn't have been able to play free. Justin Fields came in in the neutral zone, the fraction on Michigan on the punt, and went down the field, and he was playing with house money. There was never no pressure on him. Had Michigan kept the game close going into the fourth quarter, it'd been a close game, a tie, them been up, then you would have seen what Ohio State would have been made of. But a lot of times these schools, even Michigan, Oklahoma, these old power schools that had lineage going back to the early 1900s, they get preference over other schools. The Notre Dames, the Alabamas, they get the preferences. Michigan, Ohio State, because of the school name and the fan base and the board of trustees that they carry there with the money and the boosters. And I don't think it's fair. I don't think Ohio State is the best team in the country. LSU put their resume up against Ohio State. Ohio State beat Penn State, Michigan State, Michigan. You know what I'm saying? Well, they didn't beat nobody. They didn't. LSU beat Florida. They beat, I think, Georgia. They beat Alabama. They beat Auburn. Texas. When they were supposed to be the hot thing. LSU is by far, what's so funny about it, Joe Burrows was the quarterback over at Ohio State at one point. He living the dream that Tate Marcel wish he was living in Miami, leaving Ohio State. But, I think Ohio State definitely a playoff team. They definitely deserve to be in there. But I think LSU the best team in the country. But continue on to Michigan a little bit, man. The drops, was a thing. And they need to find a running back. But then you talk about the fourth down play where they took the pass out of the equations, and that's Hassan, the running back. He was in the Wildcat, and he catches the ball out the Wildcat formation, and he tries to run, and it didn't work. Defensive tackle pushed the center to the side, and he able to stop the fourth down play. I don't think you should run a Wildcat on 4th and short unless you was going to throw the ball by design. They knew it was going to be a run. Nobody was expecting Hassan to throw the ball. That was another bad play call. But other than that, the one positive thing is that Josh Gaddis' offense actually does work. I think they need another running back. But the thing about Josh Gaddis' offense is it took some time for the players to get comfortable with. The offensive line stepped up huge this year. They did a great job on Chase Young to the end. They stepped up, the offensive line did well this year. And now it's time for, Jim Harbaugh, if he's going to stay, and I'll do a video later about him being fired or not. It's time for Jim Harbaugh to find an innovative defensive coordinator. But Josh Gaddis and Shea Patterson, I wish they had another year together. They really grew. I don't want to see Shea Patterson no more, but he started to get better on the Gaddis. But they dropped a lot of balls today. They made a lot of mistakes. You're not going to beat the number one team in the country making those mistakes. But you know what? I'm not upset because I was expecting Ohio State to win the game. Okay, I had no expectations. They beat us 14 straight times or something like that. A lot of people was upset. You had Chris Webber at the game, Desmond Howard, a lot of alumni was at the game. And I'll just talk a little bit about Jim Harbaugh in a second, but I'm going to do a video dedicated to him either later tonight or in the morning. But congratulations to Ohio State. You got to give him credit. Michigan, to me, is not a football school, and I've been saying it for a long time. If they're going to continue to come up short versus Ohio State, and nobody in the University of Michigan wants to accept it, but Michigan basketball program is where the money should be spent at. They should reduce the money they put into the football program because nothing really coming out of it, to be honest, but losses. Unless you're going to get the right guy in place, nothing come out from it. Scott Frost in Nebraska, they missed the bowl game again. Jim Harbaugh again loses to Ohio State. So if you spend all this money and nothing coming from it, and your basketball team steady succeeding with not the same amount of money behind them as the football team, why not put your money into the baseball and the basketball team where you're going to get stuff out of it? But the problem is as well, the Big House, it puts 100,000 people in there every Saturday. 290-something game winning streak. Christ Arena does nothing like that. So football is a brand in Michigan. But, that was a little thought. But with Jim Harbaugh, anytime you're talking about getting rid of somebody, it's who you replace them with. Who you going to replace them with? And who? Michigan recruit itself, so you need a style. So at the end of the day, if they keep Harbaugh, I understand. If they don't keep Harbaugh, I understand that. But you know what? They was favored to win the Big Ten this year. They brought a lot of talented guys back. Shea Patterson supposed to take a step this year. He took a step too late in the year. We'll see next year. But Ohio State had a lot of five-star players on this team. Only one that had more, I think, this year was Georgia. So Harbaugh got to recruit better. And I think got to get a defensive coordinator, but I'll talk about that in a day later. Congratulations to Ohio State with the win. I think it's 56-27. Don't forget me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Reach out to the email if you got business questions, queries, sponsorship, video requests. Want to make a donation, links, description. Best way to help the channel is share the